Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, and welcome to our very first OrderEase office hours. I'm Harmony, Head of Marketing here at OrderEase, and I'll be kicking things off before handing it over to Kyle for the full walkthrough. Today is really about ending an expensive problem we see across suppliers and sales teams. When it's unclear what needs attention, orders stall, leads go cold, and follow-ups never happen. The reality is, orders don't usually break in one big, obvious way. They slip through the cracks. And over time, those small gaps turn into missed revenue, frustrated teams, and a lot of unnecessary manual work. OrderEase is built to make the work obvious and actionable, so your team knows exactly what needs to happen next. We'll spend the first half walking through the dashboard, which is your command center for day-to-day execution. Then we'll show you how settings make the platform match your business for your users, your branding, your templates, and all the fields that actually matter to your team. We'll keep this interactive, so feel free to drop questions into the chat as we go, and we'll leave time for Q&A at the very end. Now I'll hand it over to you, Kyle.
Awesome. Thank you, Harmony. So where we'll be starting is, as Harmony explained, on our dashboard or homepage as a supplier, or the command center, as we like to call it. And like she mentioned, it's going to have the ability to consolidate and bring all of your different order types from across all the different channels and where you receive orders into more of a centralized, but also standardized format where there's reasonable and predictable actions that can be taken on these orders, so nothing gets missed. Now, what you're seeing, as I described, is the home page, and it will bring in the data based on a certain timeline that you set. It does default to the last 7 rolling days, as we see at the top right here, but you could go in, simply hit the drop down, and decide, well, you know what? I only want to see orders from today. I just want to see orders from yesterday, this week, last week, this month, or even a custom date range if leadership wants to go in for a very quick top-level report to see, what have we been doing the last quarter, the last year, the last 3 years, whatever it might be. And the purpose of it is that so you and your team have full transparency over every single order coming in through all the different channels, easy to understand, easy to take action on. So what I'll do is let's just go and pull it back and say, let's take a look at last month. And as the data populates, where we'll start is, to my honest opinion, one of your most important sections being your orders. So right away, as you saw in about a fraction of a second, and the sweet part about this is that as we're consolidating more and more, you've got a more holistic picture across inbound PDF emailed orders, EDI trading partner orders across multiple portals that maybe your trading partners have selected, and now you have to go in and accommodate their systems and their processes. That can all be brought into OrderEase. Your marketplaces, your Shopifys, your WooCommerces, your Suite Commerces, anywhere where you're doing business for the most part. Now, what we can see here, last month, we received 45 orders across all of our different channels, generating about $30,000 and some change. Just below, we try to make it as clear as day for you and your sales and operations teams. We know exactly who the order is for, so the customer name. We know exactly what offering that order originates from, because what you'll see in OrderEase is a function called catalogs. And catalogs are what give a high level of flexibility in terms of what offering do I want to present, or what are the workflows or nuances when an order comes through a channel and passes through the offering in OrderEase for a validation step to make sure, pricing is accurate, SKUs are accurate, inventory is accurate, everything is there. But you can decide to say, what offering or catalog is related to this particular customer or this particular order. We can also see how many items are on that order, the date and time it was submitted, the total value of said order. We can also see what user put that order through. So if it's coming from an external channel, it's coming from a bit of our AI, mapping a PDF or Excel file that's been emailed in, turning it to a digital order, what you'll see is it's mainly coming in from an integration, it'll say. But if it's coming from, let's say, a sales rep, or an actual independent retailer, trade professional, whoever it might be, because OrderEase has a dedicated B2B portal baked right into the solution. It was actually our core product when we launched about 13 years ago. You might actually see what individual user put that order in through the portal. And last but not least is the actual status of that order, which is very handy because these statuses actually line up with the statuses that you assign inside of your ERP system, your warehousing system, your shipping and logistics system. So you're not having to come back and re-update the order. So basically providing full transparency for your sales team. We know exactly if the order's in a delivered or shipped state, it's been invoiced, it's been paid. We know whether an order's in a submitted state, which means it requires some action from a sales team or an ops team member. And just holistically, visually, you should be able to look at that order and know who's it for, what offering it's come from, in season, pre-booking, a trade show promotion, whatever it might be, the size, the value, who did it, and where it's at in sort of the life cycle at a very quick glance. Obviously, it does show just the first initial 3, but you can always say, see more results. We'll show you, again, the complete order list from the last month. But again, in a future session, you can always find those orders in the sales orders area inside of OrderEase. The second tile here would be the rep totals. Now, one of the really core and valuable aspects of OrderEase that's a little bit different than a lot of other systems out there sort of in the B2B portal order management space. It's not licensed or seat based. So there's nothing prohibiting you from inviting your entire sales team, or what I've seen in so many instances is that there's suppliers that work with agency groups that represent their brand. And you're paying them a commission, based on what they're selling. But to pay a seat fee, whether it's $100, $300, $150 a month, whatever it is per seat, without maybe seeing some results on these agents that are actually, you're paying out the commission to, it just incentivizes you that we can get them in the system, we can train them, we can get them, updated with their territory list, and then all the, catalogs and products and price structures that are relative to the customers that they service. So as you can see here, as we look at some more results, we can see the entire sales team, and we have a very easy summary without any mystery, clicking on 100 menus to know, there's our total business from last month. There's what my sales team has contributed to the overall business. So at a glance, I can look at this in a fraction of a second and go, last month was very rep driven versus other means. We can start seeing who our top rep was. We can see how many orders they're contributing across the sales team, or how many orders they're contributing across total sales, and a dollar value assigned to the actual dollars that they're bringing through the door for you as a supplier across those 4 orders, those 2 orders, however many they're submitting. Now, again, you can have as many or as few as you need, and you'll be able to follow along at anywhere that you decide to work. One thing I'll mention, there is the free OrderEase mobile app. It is available for Apple, iOS, and in the Google Play Store, so Android devices, phone, and tablet. It is technically a cloud-based solution as well, so it's accessible on PC. And every order actually will transmit between devices. So if you're working in the field one day, doing your mobile device, and then sitting in the office the next, all your orders will transfer between devices as well. But a great way for you to see holistically how the business is doing across all channels and what your sales team is actually contributing to the overall volume. Now, one aspect here is a little blank just for today's session, but we do have something called group totals. And groups are the core foundation of OrderEase that allows you to decide, what grouping of customers sees what pricing, what catalogs or offerings should they see, what's their preferred, method for fulfillment if certain groups of customers in certain regions need to go to, various 3PLs where we're forwarding the orders into the 3PL systems. Lots of flexibility around the groups, but what groups can do on the dashboard is very high level customer segment reporting. So you think of it this way. I work in US, I have customers that operate in the US, and I have a Canadian division as well. Those could be 2 groups. So then you'd have a Canadian and a US group, and we'd actually be able to see, well, that's great. We did 45 orders and 29,000. And we do work with small, mom and pop businesses all the way up to very high level enterprise companies. But you'd be able to see out of those 45 orders, 29,000, where are they coming from? I got 12 from Canada, the remainder from the US, and here's the dollar breakdown. But it doesn't have to end there. It could be regionally. What did I do in Texas versus Florida? What did I do in Ontario versus Quebec? What did we do by the channel? What did I do with my Shopify, with my Amazon, with my Wayfair, with my independents, with my trade professionals, with distributors, whatever those groups and hierarchy might be. It's a great way for you to then have it as a reporting structure on your dashboard to actually say, well, it's great. We did $50 million last month. Where is it coming from? And what are the trends that we can start seeing? And again, position on potentially maybe a later session, the analytics component of OrderEase, one of our modules. This is where you can take those high-level reports and analytics on the dashboard and really get to the granular, beneath the crust, reporting through there, and see where your opportunities are, where you could improve in terms of certain channels and trends. But at a high level, it's right there at your fingertips. As I scroll through, and this is what I put so much emphasis on when I'm training sales teams, agency groups, because when I was a project manager here quite a few years ago doing onboarding and training, I put a lot of emphasis on the sales team for the unsubmitted orders. Now, as an administrator, which is what we're seeing today logged in, I've got the keys to the car. I can do all the functions and have access to the entire system. And as an administrator, I can actually see, well, what are my opportunities? So based on that timeline, if you said this week or this month so far, as an example, I can see here, what? We've got 8 orders right now being worked on, and those 8 orders value about $7,000. We'll call it, $7,500 and so on, some change. As a sales rep, territory manager, when you log in, your dashboard is going to be more related to your world, your customers that you're responsible for, your segments that you're overseeing, whereas the administrator can see everything. That could be leadership, the director of operations, vice president of sales. So as an admin, I'm seeing every opportunity that's there. And what I'm alluding to is that as a sales rep, you will just see your opportunities for your customers, for your region, your segment, your list, whatever it would be. But like I said, we've got 8 orders, about $7,000 and some change. And I'll actually get a breakdown of a very high-level summary of who are these opportunities relating to. So I know I've got an order in progress with Plants Unlimited. It's from this particular offering right here. So I know, is this from my everyday wholesale offering? Is it from my pre-booking? So maybe I'm collecting orders because I'm very versed in many industries. You look at horticulture. During the downtime, usually it's during a stretch of like the winter months and late fall, winter months, the booking programs come out. And this is a great way that suppliers can offer, things for spring 2027, but start collecting orders today, which again, very common in many industries. But you start thinking about these different programs, catalogs, offerings that you put together and target and present in front of your customers. Is that at a glance, I know I have an order for this customer, and I know that the order they're working on is from this offering. So if I need to go and follow up, if I see this order sitting there, because it was started on March, let's just say this order was started on March 31st versus submitted. Here we are at the end of April, a little bit of an unreasonable timeline, but let's say this is, 5, 6, 7 days from this when this was created. Myself as a sales rep can see I've got an opportunity here. The current opportunities for this customer from this offering, they've got this many items in their cart. It was started on this date and time. There's the value, and there's the user that actually started that order. So if it was, let's say, one of the customers or users that logged in from this retailer, I know to go speak with Susan. I know to speak with Bob because Bob is the person that's logged in and actually starting this order. And a little tongue-in-cheek, I do joke about this with a lot of the groups that I've trained, as I say, maybe you don't want to be too big brother-ish, going, hey, Susan, last Thursday, saw you in the system looking at our pre-booking program. You've got 6 items. You've got so much. I can say you could approach it any way that you want, but maybe, hey, Susan, just figured I'd give you a call. Thought I might have seen you in our system. I know we just released the pre-booking program. Haven't talked to you in a while. It's a nice, easy segue. You've got all the basic information. It's up to you to decide how you want to approach that, but we've given you all the breadcrumbs. For a sales leader, sales manager within the organization, if you actually have access to multiple territories where you're overseeing maybe your junior or more regional reps, you can actually go in and say, oh, well, there's an order created by one of my reps. There's an order from one of my reps. There's 5 orders from customers have started it directly. So now the sales leader can intervene with the sales team to go, listen, hey, Kyle, this order has been sitting here for this customer for 6 days. Have you tried to engage? and they can start collaborating and working on how do we, engage with this customer, get it over the finish line if there's been any challenges, getting in touch with them or anything. But a lot of it's around transparency. Like Harmony said in the very beginning, we don't want orders to be missed. We want your opportunities to be front and center without mystery, having to click on a million things. It's all right there in the palm of your hand. We also have a section called New Leads. A lot of this is really revolving around trade show appearances because with the mobile app, and I've been to so many trade shows myself, seen the common song and dance. It's order forms, it's pen and paper, it's a lot of manual work. And you imagine you got 100 orders, 1,000 orders, whatever it is, coming back from a small or large event. And that's a lot of extra work that you're going to be handing over to the operations or order entry team in a stack of paperwork or a bombardment of emails where they have to sift through it, rekey in all that information. But with the new lead section at a trade show, what I'm alluding to is with the mobile app or the tablet, or if you've got your PC there, you could actually register leads at the show if they hand you just a business card or you've collected one and you're not sure if they're really a great opportunity or even a good fit for whatever you're offering, products or services or anything like that. But you can start gathering your leads, have them front and center on your dashboard, get the basic criteria for them, and even some notes just on, hey, we quickly spoke about this. This is their interest. Here's where they're located. It could be anything like that. So then you can champion and action on those leads. And then hopefully with the, quick click of a button, maybe 1 or 2 clicks, you can actually transition those leads in OrderEase into a record on your customer profile, so that you can start working with them, you can start engaging with them, you can send them an invitation, you can start sending them some basic information to kind of, get them intrigued. And all the emails that come out of the system are branded to the supplier, the brand, whatever it might be. Now, again, common theme, transparency on the dashboard. What we have here is something called curious customers. Now, it doesn't just mean it's someone that's just poking around. It just means who's actually interacting with us as an approved customer of ours as a supplier. It could also be your staff. It's just to give you a little bit of knowledge and, like I said, transparency on who's interacting with our system. So I can see here last month we had 52 engagements. And just like it gives you with your opportunities or your submitted orders, it gives you all the breadcrumbs to know, well, who's the company or customer that logged in? There they are. Who was the exact user that logged in from that company into our system? It's right there. What did they look at? Did they go to our catalog, which is the ordering experience in the OrderEase, dedicated B2B portal? Or did they just go to our profile to kind of get a bit more information? Could be our, branding, could be our terms, our conditions, our, fulfillment methods. It could be a bit of an about us, education about us as a supplier. But we can see here, this particular user went to the profile, but also went into the ordering experience. What's great to follow along with curious customers is you might have seen a customer that does a bi-weekly order with you. You haven't heard from them in 6 months. But I know, we'll call it yesterday, this person logged in from this retailer, went to our catalog. Hey, you know what? We just put a promo out. Maybe they're really interested in filling a new category or discussing that promo. Again, up to the sales team based on their processes on how they want to engage with that customer. But we've given you all the transparency around that to say, what are the people that maybe we should be following up with? Or again, for leadership or internal, are our sales reps and staff engaging with the platform that we've potentially mandated? Are they actually going in and using it? So you'll have that full transparency. We do have the open emails. Again, just high-level summary. There's quite a few automated emails that do go out from the system. It could be something as simple as an order confirmation, a submission, hey, we received your order, prior to confirmation. Could be a marketing announcement. It could be anything. There's quite a few automated emails that go out. A lot of it is action-based, but it just lets you know what's been going out, who it's going to, have they opened it, clicked through, and when it was sent. And you know what? Like, we're not a MailChimp at the end of the day, dedicated marketing system, but we have a lot of those bits of value that are actually peppered into the OrderEase solution. And again, as I've said a couple times, the common theme on the dashboard is transparency to know what's going out. One of the last things just on the dashboard here is your pending relationships. Now, the login for customers branded to you, the registration. If you want to know organic signups of new B2B accounts, we provide you all those links that you can natively put right on your existing website, so that when you have someone that comes and says, hey, we'd love to sign up, you can always go, hey, go to our website, supplierxyz.com. Go to our website, kylesdistribution.com, whatever it might be, sign up and register. We'll immediately get your registration and we'll be able to approve you and request any supplementary documentation, certificates, anything like that. But it's a very straightforward, super seamless and simple process. It's the same with the login. Right on your website, I always want my suppliers saying, go to our website, their website, go to our website, sign up, log in. You actually have that brand's exclusive experience, and then you get all the traffic. The last thing I want to see happen is, oh, you want to order from us? Go to OrderEase. This is your solution as a supplier. It's branded to you. I want you to always reference that this is your solution for them. But if any new people sign up directly from your website, they're going to land here. One user or multiple users that looks after new relationships will be notified immediately at the supplier. And then you will be the final decision maker to say, are we approving them access, denying them access, or does it look a little bit fishy and we want to report it to OrderEase so that they can build a record to say this particular request looked a little bit suspicious. Super rare occurrence. I personally never seen that instance, but we do give suppliers the option to flag it and notify us need be. All you'd simply do is you'd hit manage, would bring up your list of customers that are waiting to hear back from you as a supplier, and then you'd either have a simple option to approve them or ignore access. And I joke about this with a lot of my clients, and I've said if you do decide to ignore a request, it's not going to send them an email saying you've been denied by Kyle from such and such supplier. It'll just quietly get them off your list, and it could be for whatever reasoning you as a supplier have deemed relative to ignore the request. If you do approve it, gives you a simple pop-up message. It's going to ask you what groups do you want them to go into. Since we're integrated with a supplier's ERP, we mirror their pricing, their sales rep structures, promotional structures. And then if you've implemented any additional groups in OrderEase for like order routing fulfillment into the 3PLs or shipping systems or certain warehouses or regions, whatever those variables might be or complexities, you'd have all those selections. You'd make them in one screen, flag the rep or multiple reps that are going to look after that account, hit OK, and in that one action, everybody is notified. The customer gets the branded email on approval. The sales rep or sales reps get an email saying you've got a new customer that's been flagged to you. They're pre-configured. They're already ready to go. And they'd be right there on the sales reps customers tab when they go in to look at their list, and they can start writing orders and working with that client. So overall, the dashboard, transparency, optics, simple, ease of use, and no mystery. This should be clear as day. Never missing an order. And the beauty about this solution being integrated with the ERP system is that as these orders are coming in, they're being notified to your ops and inbound sale or inbound order management team, and they're already in your ERP system. Because they've also gone through OrderEase, and we're not just out there a point-to-point integrator, which just means take this data and dump it into our ERP system, especially if orders are coming from external channels. Once they hit OrderEase, because I'm the mere reflection of your pricing, your SKUs, your inventory, we can also validate that these orders are accurate before they even hit your ERP system. And if they're not, which I see sometimes with like EDI trading partners or certain ones you have contracts with, they send you an order on last year's pricing versus this year's, we can flag that before it even becomes a problem or rework has to be done in your ERP system or supplementary systems. So one of the other sections that we were going to look at today in our session is some of the company settings. Now, again, OrderEase is highly configurable and super flexible. So a lot of, granular details, but at a high level, things like the company profile. We'll actually be able to go in, see your public profile, be able to fill in all the specific details from your billing address to your shipping address, general information, your contact, if you want to have a specific contact person for like the head of ops or anything like that or inbound. You'll be able to set your public profile information from your logos to your WordMark logo image. You can actually mimic your brand colors for the experience, not just on the login, but within the portal as well, because we want your branding to be relative and reflective in your system. Again, things like your profile, a nice banner and profile cover image, and a bit of an about you section. So again, if you've got kind of a new client that's maybe had never ordered, but you've approved them because they would be a good fit, it's a great way where they can, obviously go to your website and get all the information. But as they're an approved customer, can then once they're in the system, can start actually going through sort of your general descriptors, your products and specialties, your delivery area fees and methods. Any education that you want to add about your company can be right there on your profile. Apart from that, just profile buy and sell search settings. It's just a way where you can flag what your specialties are as a supplier through different product categories, or also on the other side, as a customer on the retailer side or buyer side, they can flag what they're most interested in. And these are sort of the transparent pieces that a supplier can see of what is most interesting to this supplier. You could be a distributor offering 300 product categories. I know that pet food, I know that, such and such, such and such, such and such are my most, biggest interest as a retailer or as a B2B buyer. Outside of that, just some additional private contact information and a really easy way for you to view and preview your profile of what your customer is going to see. Now, again, it is B2B. Simple is typically better. Retail is where you can get really fancy with, like, on your website or a Shopify with banners and graphics and everything. This is B2B. So easy to understand, easy to use, concise, and quick should be sort of the methodologies behind it. And looking at a profile, it's just very easy to understand and go through if a supplier or a customer decides to click on it and just get some general information. Now, outside of that, like I said, not a licensed or seat-based system. So with company users, this is where you'll see all your different users, your sales reps, your administrators. You can search, you can import, export, your users, or add them on the fly. And just as a quick example, if I were to click, let's say, manage next to a user, all the standard information, you can actually select their user role, which will predetermine what their notifications might be, will predetermine what the permissions they have. Of course, you can adjust those on the fly by user, but it gives you sort of a starting point based on, the average that we see for what a rep's permissions should be, but you can always adjust. And that's where inside the notifications, you can decide, well, for those automated emails that go, out of the system, what should this user see? If I'm an owner, maybe I don't need to be notified of every single individual order that comes through, but I want to see them inside the portal. So you can just configure this with a little bit of a blurb that we put in for each of the selections on what it actually means. And it's as simple as just turning them on or turning them off as well. Now, when it comes to your permissions, so notifications are what are they being notified about? Permissions relate to what access do they have in the system? What sections can they go to? When they go to a sections, can I edit certain details? Can I just view it? Can I add to it? Can I delete it? And that's where you can come in and pick all the granular selections that you'd like. Now, again, doesn't mean if you have, let's say, 5 people doing the same role, have to go in and do this every single time. You can always set up that first user, create the second one, and go copy their permissions over to this next user. So it makes it really easy. But very granular details on what you want them to have access to by section, and then what can they do within each of the individual section. I can view customers. I can edit them, add contacts to them. I can add a new customer into the system if I'm a sales rep, on the road and I want to add a new account in, but I can't go in and start deleting customers, things of that nature. Same thing with orders, your shipments, your invoices, products, pricing, marketing, you can select. Outside of that, company settings. Again, this is the back end of the system. It's nothing your customers are ever going to see, but this is where we can accommodate all the different complexities. I won't go through every single one today because there's quite a few, and a lot of it's based on sort of the needs of a specific supplier. But this is where you can come in and really cater, like one of the common ones, managed inventory. Is it a global setting? Typically meaning we have a centralized source of truth for inventory. Maybe we have one warehouse, whether it's a 3PL or something that we physically own, or something like advanced inventories where, hey, we've got multiple locations of inventory. They have the same products, might not, but there's actual different locations for inventory count. So we can set that more as an advanced setting. which will cater multiple inventory locations? Are we enabling inventory, meaning that as orders come in, inventory is counting down in the portal in real time? You think of that in the sales rep or customer experience. When they log in and I see there's 50 and I say I want 2 of them, the next rep or next customer comes in, will see 48. And with our integrations with the ERP system, you can build your rules. Am I doing what we always recommend is at least a daily sync once a day, and it'll count down from there. But you can set your rules. You can even go into your integrations tab and do ad hoc syncs. Hey, we just brought a massive shipment in. Our normal is 2 a.m. It does the daily sync. I want to do one right now, does to not wait. Things of that nature. And then outside of that, just refreshing, sort of optimizing your product search. If you've added more depth, you don't have to wait for it to recache. You can just optimize it now. Same thing with customers. We've loaded in 1,000 new accounts. I don't want to wait for a customer refresh. I want to do it now. Gives you full control. But lots of granular details, even things like our offline catalog, which is typically used just for sales reps that work in very rural locations. You imagine working out, I have a tool supplier that works in rural Wisconsin, but all across the US, but very rural areas. Their sales reps sync their catalog before they head out on the road that day. And once their internet sort of gets a little spottier data, it flips to offline, has the most current version based on the build of the OrderEase system. And once they get back, they're connected back to the internet, all their orders start firing through during offline. So it's a great way to rebuild your offline offerings that they can sync with. But lots of different things that we can do here, units of measure for the hardware, lumber, and building material space, and just other settings that you can set at a granular level, but all things that your dedicated project manager works on with you to make sure it's set up accurately. We do have custom templates. You have default ones that come out of the box. It could be templates for like your shipping labels or your purchase orders or anything like that. You could actually build your own template. So if there's specific requirements for shipping labels from EDI providers, those can be accommodated right inside of OrderEase, and you can get them from OrderEase as we pull the data. If you don't like any of our out-of-the-box templates as well, like our standard purchase order that gets sent immediately to the customer on submission of an order, just as a record of their order, something they can have immediately sent to them, you can actually build your own custom templates. So if you want to add information that we have that's in the system, relative to you, or you want to pull some information out, want to change where your brand logo is, you'll be able to do that. And again, your project manager will show you how to develop your own templates. But order templates, credit note templates, pick packing slip templates, invoice templates, all accommodated to your specific need. And you can add them on the fly as well. The financial info is just sort of supplier's payment information, but also includes what your subscription includes with us at the end of the day. So you'll actually be able to see your usage rate. Hey, this is what we signed on for. It's a 12-month period. We get this much with the OrderEase subscription, and here's what we've used up so far. So you're never second guessing, how much do we have left or what have we done? It's all compiled to you through there. And even things like managing your warehouses, again, ties into the advanced inventories. You might have multiple warehouses with different product assortments, different inventory allocations. You'll be able to start managing your warehouses or connected warehouses through OrderEase, and even things like your custom fields. There might be some custom fields we're mapping through different systems. You'll be able to manage them inside of OrderEase. And with the advancements of AI and our AI rules engine, the possibilities are endless in terms of how orders need to be orchestrated between said warehouses, accommodating custom fields moving through your systems. So in conclusion, transparency, never missing an order, and fully automated. Order to invoice. That's what we specialize in. So back to you, Harmony.
Thank you, Kyle. That was a great overview today. That is going to be a wrap on today's session. We really appreciate everybody who joined. If you hit any walls with this setup or you want a deeper walkthrough with our team, just reach out to us directly. Thanks again, and we will see you at the next OrderEase office hours. Thank you.